The Backrooms. If you aren't careful, you could slip between the cracks of reality. It doesn't matter where you are walking down the hall at work, browsing a store, or just taking the stairs in your apartment complex. One wrong step, one moment of distraction, and you fall through. No sound, no warning, just a sudden shift, like stepping off a curb you didn't know was there. And before you know it, you're here? The Backrooms. At first it seems like you've wandered into an old office building, an empty one, maybe condemned. The walls are a sickly yellow, covered with cheap, faded wallpaper stained in places you'd rather not touch. The carpet squelches slightly underfoot, as though water seeped into it years ago and never dried. The fluorescent lights buzz incessantly above, flickering in an uneven rhythm, casting long shadows that feel like they're just a little too alive. Nothing about the place makes sense, but somehow it feels eerily familiar, like a half-forgotten dream. You take a few steps forward. It feels wrong to stay still, like the silence will swallow you whole if you don't keep moving. Every room looks almost identical, the same pale walls, the same buzzing lights. At first, you think it's a mistake, you just took a wrong turn. But the more you walk, the clearer it becomes. You aren't in a building. You're in something far bigger, far stranger. Hallways stretch endlessly in every direction, bending at impossible angles, looping back on themselves when they shouldn't. It's a maze, but not the kind you can solve. Doors appear at random, but they don't offer salvation. Some lead to other hallways that look exactly the same. Others open into rooms too small to be useful, or too large to make sense, endless, empty spaces where your footsteps echo like a warning. And some doors should never be opened. They hum with a strange energy, almost vibrating beneath your fingertips, as if daring you to step through. But something tells you that if you do, you won't come back. Not the same. Anyway. The deeper you go, the more things change. The walls start to tilt slightly, just enough to make you feel off balance. Some corridors get narrower, forcing you to turn sideways to squeeze through, while others stretch far beyond what the eye can see. In some places, the floor slopes downward, and the air grows heavy with a damp chill that clings to your skin. The lights flicker more frequently here, casting long shadows that seem to crawl just out of sight. And then there are the sounds. At first, they're easy to dismiss: the faint hum of the lights, the soft whisper of air through unseen vents. But soon you realize there's more. Footsteps, faint but distinct, echo through the halls. They don't belong to you. They come from just around the corner, just down the hall, always too far away to see. But when you stop, they stop. And when you move, they start again. Sometimes you'll hear whispers, so faint they almost seem like the wind. They sound familiar, like voices you know, friends, family, people you trust. But there's something off about them, a subtle wrongness in the cadence, as if they've been practicing how to sound human, but haven't quite gotten it right. The voices call your name, drawing you deeper into the maze, urging you to follow. And then you see things. Not directly, no, they're smarter than that. But in the corners of your vision, just at the edge of sight, shapes flicker. They move quickly, ducking behind corners or slipping through cracks in the walls. You might catch a glimpse of a face, pale and distorted, or the flash of long fingers dragging along the floor. But when you turn to look directly, they're gone. And yet you know they were there, watching. In the Backrooms, time doesn't work the way it should. There are no windows, no clocks, nothing to anchor you to the passage of minutes or hours. At first, you try to keep track, counting the seconds in your head, marking your path with objects you find scattered on the floor. But soon the markers disappear, as if the place is shifting behind your back, rearranging itself to keep you lost. The carpet stains you passed earlier? Gone. The cracked light bulb you saw? Replaced. It's like the rooms are alive, adjusting themselves to trap you. And there are others here, or at least there used to be. Sometimes you'll stumble across signs of them: old backpacks, broken cell phones, half-eaten food. But no people, just their things, abandoned as if they vanished in the middle of a step. Some of the walls are scrolled with desperate messages, Don't look at them. IT hunts by sound, and no clipping death. You try not to think about what those messages mean. You try not to wonder what happened to the ones who wrote them. But the worst part is the creatures. You don't always see them, but you know they're there. They move through the walls, slithering through cracks too narrow for anything to fit. Sometimes they sound human, too human, in fact. They shuffle along the carpet, limbs twitching, heads tilting too far to the side. They mimic people you know, but their movements are wrong, stiff, mechanical, as if they're not quite sure how to use their bodies. And when they notice you, they change. It starts slowly. Their heads snap toward you and they pause, as if deciding whether you're worth the effort. And then their joints pop, their limbs bending in unnatural ways. They drop to all fours, and the sound of bone grinding against bone fills the air. When they move, they do it fast, too fast. Their limbs scuttle across the floor with a wet, scraping noise, and the carpet stains beneath them as they go. You run, because that's all you can do. But running in the back rooms is never straightforward. The hallways twist and loop, forcing you to double back. Doors slam shut just before you can reach them, or open into dead ends. And no matter how fast you move, the thing chasing you is always faster. You can hear it just behind you, claws scraping the floor, breath hissing through clenched teeth. And when you glance back, it's closer than it should be. But somehow you find a door, one that wasn't there before. It's heavy, rusted at the edges, and when you throw it open, you tumble through into a dark, cold space. The thing following you doesn't come through. For now, you sit there, gasping for breath, heart pounding in your chest, waiting for the sound of claws against the door. But all you hear is silence. That's when you realize the truth. There's no way out of the backrooms. The doors don't lead to freedom, they only take you deeper. Every turn, every step, every new hallway brings you closer to something worse. Something you can't understand. The creatures here don't just want to catch you. They want you to stay. To wander these halls forever, just like the ones who came before. And sooner or later you will, because in the backrooms, hope is a lie. There is no exit. Only more rooms, more walls, more things that move in the shadows. And no matter how far you run, no matter how long you survive, they'll always find you in the end. They always do. Stretches endlessly, as if the backrooms themselves are shifting behind your back. The place feels alive, rearranging itself with each step you take, like it knows you're here and it doesn't want you to leave. There's no pattern to the rooms, no rhythm to the turns. One hallway might be narrow, barely wide enough to squeeze through, while another opens into a vast expanse with ceilings so high you can't see the top. Some walls bulge unnaturally, like they're holding something just behind the surface. Others are warped, sagging under invisible weight. You'll come across staircases leading down into pitch-black basements, and some halls tilt so steeply that walking feels like stumbling uphill. The deeper you go, the more distorted the space becomes. Curved walls, doors that hang upside down, hallways that loop in themselves until you realize you've been walking in circles. The back rooms are infinite. Or at least they seem that way. No one knows how deep it goes, or if there's a way out. Some levels are eerily similar to others, but every so often, the landscape shifts into something unrecognizable. You might stumble into a damp, moldy basement one moment and find yourself in a sterile, white-tiled corridor the next. Some levels are vast, flooded warehouses with flickering lights on rusted steel beams, while others are claustrophobic tunnels with walls made of cracked plaster and leaking pipes. And as you wander further, you begin to notice the smell of faint, musty odor like old paper and stagnant air, but sometimes sharper, metallic, like rusted iron mixed with something organic. The creatures that dwell. The worst part of the backrooms is that you're not alone. It doesn't take long to realize that something else is here, multiple things, in fact. They move quietly, just out of sight, watching from the shadows. Some lurk behind walls, slipping through cracks you thought were too narrow for anything to pass through. Others roam the hallways, their footsteps slow and deliberate, as if they're searching for something or someone. At first, you might dismiss them as figments of your imagination. You'll catch glimpses of movement out of the corner of your eye, a flicker of pale skin, a dark shape sliding behind a corner. But soon you'll know the truth, they're real, and they're aware of you. The creatures, if they can even be cold, that are hard to describe. Some appear almost human, their faces eerily similar to people you know, but just wrong. Their skin looks stretched too tightly over their skulls, and their limbs jerk and stiff, unnatural movements. They smile too wide, or their heads tilt at unnatural angles, as if trying to understand how a human body should behave. They can even mimic voices, calling your name in the voice of someone familiar, but the tone is always off, too flat, too rehearsed. And if you respond, they'll come closer. Then there are the ones that don't bother pretending. Some crawl on all fours, their bodies twisting and popping with each movement, as if their bones are constantly breaking and resetting. Others are shadow-like figures that blend into the walls, their glowing eyes tracking your every move. You might hear them breathing wet, raspy gasps that grow louder as they close in on you. Some creatures don't make a sound at all until it's too late, their claws already brushing against your back. You can't fight them. All you can do is run. But running in the backrooms isn't as easy as it sounds. The rules of survival. Surviving in the backrooms means learning fast. You'll need to memorize the layout of rooms and hallways, but you can't trust your memory too much. Things shift and change when you're not looking. Doors that were locked one minute might swing open the next, leading to places you shouldn't go. Some hallways seem safe, but once you enter, the lights dim and the air grows cold, as if something is waiting for you at the end. You'll quickly pick up on unspoken rules, passed down through scrawled messages left behind by those who came before. Things like, don't trust voices you recognize. If the carpet is dry, keep moving. If it's wet, backtrack immediately. Never stay in one place too long. If the lights flicker twice, hide. It's unclear if the ones who left these messages escaped, or if they fell prey to the very things they warned about. But the advice is your best shot at staying alive. There are signs, subtle changes that let you know when danger is close. The hum of the lights will change pitch, going deeper, as if the air itself is thickening. The temperature will drop suddenly, and the walls might even shift slightly, as if the place is holding its breath. And then there's the silence. When the buzzing stops, you have only a few seconds to run. Time doesn't work the same. Time has no meaning in the backrooms. It slips through your fingers like sand. Without windows or clocks, you lose track of how long you've been wandering. It could be hours, days, or weeks you'd have no way of knowing. Sleep comes in strange fits, if it comes at all, and when you wake up, you might find yourself in an entirely different part of the maze, as if the backrooms moved you while you were unconscious. Your phone, if you still have it, might work for a while, but eventually, the battery dies. Even the messages you leave for yourself scratches on the wall. Objects placed on the floor disappear, swallowed by the endless corridors. And the worst part, you'll start to forget things. Little things, at first your favorite song, the name of your childhood pet. But the longer you stay, the more it slips away. Faces, memories, even your own name will fade, until all that's left is the buzzing of the lights and the endless hum of the maze. It's as if the backrooms aren't just a place, they're hungry, feeding on your mind, your soul, until you become one of the many lost things trapped here. Endless levels, infinite traps. Rumors speak of different levels within the backrooms. Some are said to be worse than others. Level 0 is the one most people find themselves in: the yellow walls, wet carpet, and buzzing lights. But there are whispers of deeper levels, each with its own dangers. Level 1 is darker, filled with malfunctioning lights and the sound of distant machinery. Level 2 is hotter, with pipes running along the walls that hiss and drip, and creatures that crawl between them. And beyond that, no one knows. Some say there's a level 999, a place so vast it contains entire cities swallowed by the backrooms. Others believe that if you reach the deepest level, you'll find the exit. But most agree on one thing: the deeper you go, the harder it is to come back. Some levels seem almost peaceful, quiet, calm, even welcoming. But that's the trap. The backrooms want you to stay. They lure you in with false hope, with memories of places you once knew, only to twist them into something terrible. There's no way to know how many people are trapped here. You might come across their remains, clothing, journals, shoes left behind in empty hallways, but you'll never find them. Some say the creatures took them. Others say they simply became part of the maze, absorbed by the walls themselves, their souls lost in the hume forever. And sooner or later the same thing will happen to you, because in the backrooms escape is a lie. Every door you open, every hallway you walk, only takes you deeper. And the deeper you go, the more the backrooms take from you, your memories, your mind, your will to resist. And in the end you'll belong to them, just like everything else that's ever wandered too far from the light. The people who were here before. Every so often you'll stumble across remnants, proof that you're not the first to wander into the backrooms. Old backpacks, mold-covered journals, broken flashlights, and shoes without their owners. These items suggest stories you'll never fully know those who walked before you, trying desperately to map the unmappable or leave a breadcrumb trail for others. Some journals contain detailed entries, documenting levels and dangers they encountered, but almost every journal ends the same way, abruptly, with scribbled warnings or messages that seem written in panic. Things like, if it starts smiling, don't smile back. Don't trust the elevators. Help never comes. It's not uncommon to find strange graffiti scrawled along the walls. Some messages are pleas for help, I'm still here, find me, while others are cryptic, almost like riddles. But the most chilling ones are those that imply the person leaving them didn't just give up hope, they forgot if they ever wanted to escape. We belong here now is a phrase you'll see over and over, written in dozens of places. Whether it's a warning or acceptance, you can't be sure. Sometimes, if you're unlucky, you might even run into other wanderers. Or at least you'll think they're other people. They might look normal at first, huddled in corners or pacing through the halls, whispering to themselves. But get too close, and something will seem wrong. Their faces may not align with their movements, or their voices might sound too familiar, like an echo of your own thoughts, bouncing off the walls. They might beg you to follow them, say they know a way out, or that they need your help. But you can't trust them. Whether they were once real people or have been consumed by the backrooms, they are no longer who they seem to be. Time loops and glitches. The longer you stay, the more the backrooms warp your perception. It's not just endless hallways and flickering lights, it's time itself that begins to fray. You'll have moments where everything feels like a loop, where the same room repeats endlessly, no matter which way you turn. You might retrace your steps and find yourself in an exact replica of the place you just left, down to the smallest detail. It's like the maze is glitching, folding in on itself, trapping you in an infinite cycle. Some wanderers report hearing echoes of past moments, conversations they had days or weeks ago, replaying faintly through the walls. Others say they've encountered versions of themselves, like shadows from the past, stumbling through hallways or calling out in their own voice. They try to warn you, but their words are garbled, twisted into nonsense. Some believe these are time echoes, remnants of people who were trapped long before, caught forever in the maze's loops. And then there are the doors. Some doors lead nowhere, opening only to reveal a wall of concrete or another hallway. But other doors are more dangerous, because they lead somewhere you've already been, or worse, somewhere you should never go. A few unlucky wanderers have reported walking through a door, only to find themselves in the exact moment they entered the backrooms, as if no time had passed. But it's never quite right, the lights hum differently, or the smell is off, like you've stepped into a corrupted copy of reality. Levels within levels. As you descend deeper, the backrooms become more chaotic. There are levels that shouldn't exist where the geometry becomes impossible, hallways that fold in on themselves like paper, staircases that climb up and end at the ceiling. Some levels are vast, open fields covered in fog, with no walls in sight, and yet you'll still feel trapped. Others are nothing more than endless darkness, where even the hum of the lights disappears and your footsteps are the only sound. Then there are levels where you'll feel like you're not supposed to be, places where the air is too still, and the walls seem to watch you. These levels play with your senses. You'll feel eyes on your back, even though you know no one is there. Shadows will stretch toward you, flickering in the corners of your vision, and you'll hear whispers, faint, indecipherable voices, murmuring just beneath the surface of sound. Some levels are filled with strange objects, broken vending machines, furniture stacked in bizarre formations, clocks that tick backward, and mannequins arranged in lifelike poses. And then there are doors that lead to mirrors, rooms where you'll see yourself reflected, but slightly wrong. You might catch your reflection moving just a second too late, or notice it smiling when you aren't. People who've stumbled into these rooms say the worst part isn't the reflection, it's the overwhelming sense that the reflection wants to trade places with you. Exit or trap? There are rumors of an exit, a door that leads back to the real world, but finding it is like chasing a mirage. Some say it's hidden deep within the lowest levels, beyond endless mazes of shifting walls and tunnels that stretch into infinity. Others say the exit appears only when the backrooms are done with you, when they've taken enough of your memories, your sanity, and your soul. But there's a catch. Not everyone who finds the exit returns whole. Some say the ones who make it out bring pieces of the backrooms with them, little slivers of that endless hum, still buzzing in the back of their minds. They'll catch glimpses of yellowed walls out of the corner of their eye, or hear faint whispers in the silence of night. And the worst part, some of them are convinced they never truly escaped. They believe that the exit is just another layer of the backrooms, a cruel illusion designed to make them feel free when, in reality, they're still trapped. Some say that if you spend too long searching for the exit, the backrooms will show you exactly what you want to see, a door back to your world, with friends or family waiting on the other side. But the moment you step through, everything shifts. The walls close in, the air becomes thick, and you realize, far too late, that you've walked through the wrong door. There is no way out. Becoming part of the backrooms. No one truly knows what happens to those who stay too long. Some say the backrooms consume them, absorbing them into the walls, the floors, the hum of the lights. Others believe they become part of the creatures, twisting into those impossible shapes that roam the halls, their minds shattered beyond repair. Maybe they lose themselves so completely that they forget they were ever human. You'll hear stories of people who entered the backrooms and never returned, of loved ones who vanished without a trace. Some claim these missing people are still here, wandering endlessly through the maze, forever searching for a way out. Others believe they've become something else entirely, part of the labyrinth, fused with the fabric of this strange, twisted reality. And maybe, if you listen closely enough, you can hear them whispering through the walls, calling for help from places no one can reach. In the end, the backrooms don't just take your body, they take your mind. They take your past, your memories, and everything that makes you who you are. And once they have you, they never let go. Because the truth is, once you step into the backrooms, you were never meant to leave. Echoes of the lost. As you wander deeper, you may begin to hear familiar voices, echoes of those you've known, or perhaps of those who once ventured here. They call to you in soft, desperate tones, weaving through the air like whispers of forgotten dreams. Some sound like loved ones, speaking your name, urging you to come closer. But as you approach, the warmth of recognition fades, replaced by an icy chill that runs down your spine. The voices become distorted, pleading for help one moment, then cursing you for not saving them the next. It's a maddening melody, one that pulls at your heartstrings, while also threatening to tear you apart. You might catch glimpses of figures just beyond your reach, shadows that flicker and dart away, leaving only an unsettling feeling in their wake. They move in the periphery of your vision, darting around corners and slipping through doorways. At times you might think you see someone familiar, someone you thought was lost forever. But the longer you look, the more you realize they are not who they seem. They might wear the faces of your loved ones, but their movements are too jerky, their smiles too wide and unnatural. And in those fleeting moments, you understand that you should never trust what your eyes perceive in the backrooms. The creatures of the backrooms. Alongside the echoes of lost souls, you must contend with the creatures that roam these infinite falls. Some are humanoid, but distorted limbs too long, mouths filled with too many teeth, eyes that glimmer with an unnatural hunger. They blend into the darkness, lurking just out of sight, only to strike when you least expect it. Their movements are eerily silent, making it difficult to detect their presence until it's far too late. Then there are the creatures that defy explanation, masses of shifting shadows, pulsing forms that seem to be made of darkness itself. They crawl along the walls, skittering away if you turn to look, always eluding capture. Their very existence challenges the laws of nature, warping reality around them, and those who encounter them report feelings of dread that pierce their hearts like ice. Some say these beings are the result of the backroom's corruption, a reflection of your fears, your regrets, and your lost hopes. Each creature is an embodiment of what you've lost or what you could become if you stay too long. They exist as both predator and prey in this grim universe, and the only way to survive is to be always alert, always ready to run. The unraveling of reality. Time, in the backrooms, becomes an abstract concept. Days may stretch into years, and moments may blur together into a haze of despair. You might find yourself walking through an endless cycle of rooms, each one a reflection of the last, only to realize hours or even days have slipped away unnoticed. The unsettling nature of time here leaves you questioning your own sanity, unsure of whether you're losing your grip on reality, or if reality is just a construct of your mind. At times you may encounter glitches in this twisted dimension, flickering lights that dance erratically, walls that momentarily dissolve into voids of darkness, or the sensation of vertigo as the floor tilts and spins beneath you. Some describe it as the backrooms revealing their true nature, a warning that they are alive and aware of your presence. And amidst the disorienting chaos, you might come across windows thin, glass-like panes showing glimpses of your reality. You'll see fragments of your life outside, the sun shining, laughter echoing, a loved one calling your name. It will fill you with longing, a desperate urge to break through and return to the warmth of familiarity. But touching the glass is a mistake. It's cold and unyielding, and instead of a way out, it becomes a mirror reflecting your deepest fears. The ritual of escape. A dark rumor circulates among those who linger in the backrooms of a ritual that can grant you passage back to reality. Some claim that if you gather certain items from the backrooms, pieces of the lost souls or fragments of the environment itself, you can create a focal point, a means to channel the energy swirling around you. But these items are never easy to find. They're hidden in the darkest corners, guarded by the creatures, and obtaining them often requires sacrifices or pacts that put your very existence at risk. Those who attempt the ritual speak of a gathering of energies, a moment when the walls pulse and the air crackles with electricity. You must perform the ritual at the right time, at the moment when the backrooms are at their weakest. But beware, failure doesn't just mean remaining trapped. It means becoming part of the backrooms forever, your essence absorbed into the very fabric of this nightmarish realm. The shifting nature of hope. Hope becomes a dangerous illusion within the backrooms. It's a fleeting emotion, one that can lift your spirits only to dash them against the jagged rocks of despair. You might find solace in small victories, discovering a path that seems to lead to an exit, or catching a glimpse of something familiar. But those moments are often short-lived, a cruel reminder that nothing is ever as it seems. As time passes, you might start to feel a sense of resignation, a weight settling on your chest, as you realize you may never escape. The backrooms begin to seep into your mind, wrapping around your thoughts like vines, whispering that you belong here, that this is your new reality. Some who wander too long find themselves unable to distinguish the truth from the lies, believing they have become part of the backrooms, living out the rest of their days among the echoes and shadows. The final embrace. Ultimately, the backrooms are a place of loss and entrapment. They thrive on the memories and hopes of those who enter, twisting them into nightmares that echo through eternity. As you wander these halls, your perception of time, space, and self will blur, leaving you to question who you were before you stepped into this labyrinth of despair. The most chilling truth is that the backrooms are alive, constantly shifting and changing, absorbing the very essence of those trapped within. They reflect your darkest fears, your innermost regrets, and the pieces of yourself that you've left behind. And as the walls close in, you may come to realize that escape is not just about finding a way out, it's about confronting the parts of yourself you've buried deep, acknowledging the fears that haunt you, and facing the reality that you may never truly be free. So, if you ever hear that familiar hum or find yourself in a strange hallway filled with flickering lights, remember, the backrooms are always watching. They are waiting for their next visitor, eager to consume what's left of your hope, leaving you to wander in darkness forever. The creatures of the backrooms. The backrooms are not just a labyrinth of endless hallways and flickering lights. They are a breeding ground for creatures that embody the horrors of this realm. Each being reflects the twisted nature of the environment, born from the fears and memories of those who have wandered too far into the unknown. The Faceless Ones are among the most disturbing inhabitants. These creatures walk upright like humans, but lack any discernible facial features, no eyes, no mouth, no nose. They are pale, with skin that appears almost translucent, giving them an unsettling, ghostly appearance. The Faceless Ones move silently, their limbs bending at unnatural angles as they traverse the dimly lit corridors. They are often seen standing motionless as if waiting for something, or pacing slowly as they search for their next victim. Those who lock eyes with a Faceless One report an overwhelming feeling of dread and despair, as if the creature can see right into your soul, exposing your deepest fears. Then there are the crawlers, twisted abominations that scuttle along the ground on elongated limbs, resembling a grotesque mix of spider and human. Their bodies are thin and sinewy, covered in patches of matted hair, and their long fingers end in razor-sharp claws that scrape against the concrete floor. Crawlers are quick, darting into the shadows when approached and re-emerging unexpectedly to strike. Their movements are both horrifying and mesmerizing, creating a disorienting dance that can lure the unwary into a false sense of security. The eerie silence they maintain is often broken by the sound of their claws scraping, a constant reminder of their lurking presence. The Watchers are a more enigmatic presence in the backrooms. Often found in the darkest corners, they resemble large, hulking figures draped in tattered rags. Their bodies are obscured in shadows, and they have glowing eyes that pierce through the darkness, watching every move you make. Some say they are guardians of the backrooms, while others believe they are mere spectators, feeding off the fear and confusion of those trapped within. When you feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand on end, it's often because a Watcher is nearby, observing you with an intensity that is both unsettling and paralyzing. Many who encounter them report feeling a sense of impending doom, as if their very presence signifies that something terrible is about to happen. The Wailing Beasts are perhaps the most terrifying of all the creatures. Their cries echo through the halls, a haunting sound that mimics the desperate pleas of lost souls. These creatures appear as monstrous, misshapen figures with elongated limbs and gaping mouths filled with jagged teeth. When they hunt, they emit a chilling wail that can freeze your blood and make your heart race. The Wailing Beasts are relentless predators, drawn to the scent of fear, and they will chase their prey through the twisting corridors, their cries growing louder and more frantic, until they finally catch their quarry. Those who survive an encounter with a Wailing Beast often carry the memory of its chilling howl, which echoes in their minds long after they've escaped. The Forgotten Ons. Among the countless entities that roam the backrooms are the Forgotten Ons, lost souls who have become part of the very fabric of this strange reality. They wander aimlessly, their forms shifting and changing, appearing as vague silhouettes or blurred outlines. Many of them bear expressions of despair and hopelessness, forever searching for something they can never find. They are drawn to those who exhibit emotional distress, often attempting to communicate with muffled whispers or desperate gestures. However, engaging with a Forgotten One can be perilous. They often lead the curious into deeper, more dangerous areas of the backrooms, where the creatures lie in wait. The mimics add another layer of terror to this already horrific landscape. These creatures possess the unsettling ability to mimic the voices and appearances of those they have consumed. At first glance, a mimic may look like a lost friend or family member, luring you in with familiar laughter or comforting words. But as you draw closer, the illusion begins to crumble, revealing their true, grotesque form. They thrive on emotional connections, feasting on the hope and trust of those who seek comfort in their semblance of familiarity. Encountering a mimic is a chilling reminder that not everything in the backrooms can be trusted. Sometimes the most comforting voices hide the darkest intentions. The Endless Hunt. Within the backrooms, the creatures are not merely obstacles. They are part of a predatory ecosystem, each one designed to hunt or evade, to survive in this realm of despair. As you wander through the endless hallways, you may feel the creeping sensation of being watched, the prickling awareness that you are not alone. The creatures are often in a constant state of pursuit, and the lines between predator and prey can blur. Survival in the backrooms means not only evading the creatures but also understanding the tactics they employ. It's essential to remain quiet, to move with stealth, and to avoid drawing attention to yourself. The sounds of your footsteps can echo for miles, and the rustle of your clothing can alert even the most dormant of creatures. Staying aware of your surroundings is crucial. Shadows shift and change, and the very walls seem to breathe with life. In the midst of this relentless hunt, you might stumble upon remnants of those who came before, personal belongings, notes scrolled on the walls, and remnants of lives once lived. These artifacts serve as chilling reminders of the countless souls who have succumbed to the horrors of the backrooms, and each item tells a story of despair. It's a haunting experience, a moment of reflection that forces you to confront the fragility of hope in this realm of despair. The cycle of despair. As time continues to blur and the creatures of the backrooms surround you, the reality of your situation becomes painfully clear. This place thrives on despair, and every step you take brings you closer to being consumed by it. Each encounter with the creatures chips away at your sanity, and the emotional toll mounts as you grapple with the weight of your memories and fears. Ultimately, the backrooms are a twisted reflection of the human psyche, a place where lost hopes and forgotten dreams gather to form a nightmarish landscape. As the walls close in and the echoes of the past surround you, the only question that remains is whether you will succumb to the darkness or find a way to reclaim your lost self. But know this, the backrooms do not easily let go of their inhabitants, and the longer you linger, the more you become part of the nightmare, destined to wander the endless corridors forever, haunted by the creatures that dwell within. In the backrooms, hope is a fragile flicker in the darkness, and the creatures that roam these halls are always waiting for the moment when that light goes out, ready to pull you into the shadows where you may never return.